Welcome, Gunrunner.
Everybody, Q&AK the Laird here, and the videos are coming thick and fast at the moment, and I'm trying to clear some backlogs of some stuff that I said I was going to review, and I hadn't quite got round to it yet for various reasons. Things are incredibly busy for me right now, so finding the time to sit down and do some of these filming style videos is getting a bit more difficult. It's easy for me to put together the the ones with gameplay clips and stuff because I can kind of work on them in between doing other things. But I very rarely get the time to actually sit down and film videos like this. But I've got some free time today, so I'm going to try and clear some of my backlog of stuff that I've got to review, as I say. So the first thing I've got here, as you can see, is the new Sega Archives book from Retro Gamer. So you can see that there, and this has kind of a follow-up. They did a previous book which was Sega Mega Drive, half the book, and SNES was half the book, and they did another book where half the book was the Sega Master System and half the book was the NES. And a lot of people said, well, you did an Atari book, and that was great, that was really popular. So why not do a Sega book where it covers all the consoles? Because obviously the Dreamcast and the Saturn hadn't got any love in the previous issues, and there's also, of course, lots of Sega arcade games that you can look at as well. So Sega, without doubt, one of the most important companies in the history of gaming. I would say one of the top three, along with the sort of Atari and Nintendo, sort of like the holy trinity, I suppose, of retro in terms of companies. And yeah, it's a big old thing, and they've gone for a great look straight away. Obviously, you've got to have Sonic on the cover. The Mega Drive style logo. Showing all the machines down here, lots of screenshots. So 10 out of 10 straight away for presentation. It really does look great. So excuse my arm getting in the way. It's always hard doing these. So obviously we start off with your usual introductions, and then we've got a contents page. So obviously there's a lot of what you'd expect to see there. So you've got you can see already stuff like Wonder Boy, Alex Kidd, obviously Sonic, Shenmue, Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe, Toe Jam and Earl, all of that kind of stuff in there. So what it does is it starts off by looking at the hardware and the company themselves. So you obviously starting off with the history of Sega, going right back to when the company started. Best Sega controller, unsurprisingly won by the Saturn. Probably, without doubt, the Saturn is the best controller on any system for me. A look at Sega's franchises, most popular ones there. Things that Sega gave gamers. Then it goes into the Master System, which wasn't their first console. Their first console was actually the SG-1000. But the SG-1000 was never, I was going to say the West, I suppose was never really released in the West. But it did get a release in Australia and New Zealand, bizarrely. But it was never released in Europe or North America. But the Master System was actually backwards compatible with the SG-1000 anyway. In many ways, it's a bit more complicated. But yeah, Master System is the one that sort of launched Sega into the spotlight, certainly. Over here, because the Master System was very successful in the UK especially, and Europe, because it was marketed by Virgin Mastertronic, who did a great job with it, and it far outsold the NES in this part of the world. So look at the best games here as well. Sonic 3, it's quite surprising. Number one was Wonderboy 3: The Dragon's Trap, though, which is great. And number two was Alex Kidd Miracle World, which is one of the first games everyone always brings up when they talk about the Master System. And then it goes into an article on Dragon's Trap, which is a nice lead in there. Fantasy Zone, one of my own favourite Master System games, I have to say. Gaming's greatest underdog. So an article about Alex Kidd. And not Alex the Kid, as some people insist on calling him. There is no the. That's one thing that always really grates with me, is when people call him Alex the Kid. It really does annoy me. So calling up Capus, the legendary Afterburner. I could still remember the first time I played Afterburner. I didn't last very long in it, but I just remember being blown away by the graphics on it. First one I played was actually that one. It was a stand-up one with the yoke controller. It wasn't a sit-down, unfortunately. In fact, I'm not even sure I ever remember playing the sit-down one. No, I don't remember ever seeing that, but there we go. I did play sit-down of G-Lock though, so made up for it there. So the success of Sonic the Hedgehog, unsurprisingly. Really a surprise to see that article in there, is it? Celebrating the Mega Drive. One of my cats is lurking to the side of me, so I'm hoping he's not going to jump in and cause chaos like he usually does. He has a habit of doing that. Disney games there, Capcom games, Treasure. So looking at the best developers for the Mega Drive as well. Then we go into the top 25 Mega Drive games. So it's a pretty familiar list. There's nothing on here that's going to surprise you, that's for sure. And number one, Streets of Rage 2, and I was one of the people who voted for that. And you can see my comment there. Streets of Rage 2 is possibly the best game ever made. I would have given it 20 points if I could, because it was a points system that we awarded. I think we get to give the top one 10, going down to 1. You can only vote for 10 games. But that was my comment. Revenge of Shinobi, one of the first games that I ever bought for my Mega Drive back in the day. My Mega Drive came with Streets of Rage and Sonic, and I can't remember what actually was the first game I bought after that. I actually cannot remember at all, but I've got a feeling it might have been Revenge of Shinobi, because that was certainly one of the first games I picked up, and a truly excellent game. Rocket Knight, Road Rash, another good game. Actually, back in the day, I never bought Road Rash. I actually started off with Road Rash 2. It's a great game, but Road Rash 2 is even better. So, Sega's Big Gamble, looking at the Mega CD and the 32X. I've never actually owned a 32X. I do own a Mega CD these days. I've got a Mega CD 1, along with my Asian Mega Drive 1 that I have now. But I didn't own a Mega CD back in the day, so they were very expensive. But my very well-off next-door neighbour had one, so I used to get to play a lot of Mega CD stuff, which was great. I mean, it's got the key companies there. They talk a lot about Core Design, who really did do the best stuff on the Mega CD, especially Thunderhawk. I remember my neighbour buying that. Soulstar, which I always absolutely loved. Jaguar Extra 220 was another one of theirs that I really liked. Obviously the excellent there Final Fight CD, easily one of the best games on the system. Silpede, which is excellent. Interesting quote there from Tom Kalinske. People often ask me, was the Sega CD a mistake? I don't believe it's a mistake at all. I don't. I think it was... people rag on it so much, but that's some great games. I do think they could have handled it better, because they did a lot of this, which is saying here about releasing cartridge games on CD, and there was a lot of the FMV crap. And I do feel there's better ways that could have taken advantage of it. I mean, the Mega CD had the hardware to do the Sega Super Scaler coin-ops, but the only one they ever released in it was Afterburner 3, which made no sense. I mean, why did we not get up, sort of arcade version? Well, it wouldn't be quite arcade perfect, probably near enough, because the hardware. Why did we not get Space Harrier, Afterburner, Outrun, Thunderblade? And why have we not got those games? And we've got a few of them when the 32X came in, but they should have been doing those games on the Mega CD, because it would have been great. But there we go. History of Streets of Rage. I'll get started ranting about the Mega CD. Quite shocked. Golden Axe, that again was one of the first Mega Drive games I bought, was actually Golden Axe. Still one of my favourites. I don't think either of the sequels are as good. The original Golden Axe is much better, I think. Played that a lot, my brother completed it. Sega Saturn. Love the Sega Saturn, one of my favourite consoles ever. Really, really great machine. Really deserved better. I mean, it did very well in Japan, but sort of got taken over by got dominated by the PlayStation, and then taken over by the N64 as well, which is a great shame because the Saturn had a lot to offer. It had some truly outstanding games. I think it's a real shame that people didn't see that. Everyone just got caught up in the PlayStation hype. And I think the other thing that let the Saturn down as well, that they mentioned here, is a lot of the great games made for it never made it out of Japan. There was a lot of stuff that was just Japan only, and it was very silly of Sega to allow that to happen and not bring those games over to the West. So top 25 Saturn games. Die Hard Arcade 21 should have been much higher. Boo. Panzer Dragoon Z as well at 16. I would have had that much higher if it would be me. Sega Rally #1 though. And I've got great memories of Sega Rally. It was my favourite Saturn game back in the day, still one of my favourites to this day. But the other thing is as well was I had my times for Sega Rally printed in the official Sega Saturn magazine because they were so good. So I wish I still had that magazine, I really do. So I have no idea what issue it was in. I would quite like to pick up a few issues of Sega Saturn magazine, I have to say. Radiant Silvergun. Bullet Hell Shooter is good, but I'm not really a fan of Bullet Hell Shooters, so it's not really a game I've ever invested much time in. Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2, now we're talking. I got the first Panzer Dragoon with my Saturn when I bought it, and absolutely adored it. The graphics just blew me away when I first saw it, really did. And then I picked up number 2 immediately, pretty much as it came out. So yeah, Outrun, Dreamcast. I never owned a Dreamcast until fairly recent years. It's one of the last consoles I actually picked up for my collection. I like it, but it doesn't hold the same nostalgia for me as the Mega Drive or the Saturn, so it will never, to me, it will never compare to those machines. Had a lot of good games. I'm not ultra keen on the Dreamcast controllers, though, I have to say. The VMU things are a pain in the arse as well. It's a shame it didn't succeed. But again, Sega made quite a few mistakes with it. My biggest one for me was probably the lack of copy protection. Being able to just burn discs was something that really cost them software sales, because everyone was just pirating everything. Shenmue, not my kind of game. I can see why everyone likes it, but not my kind of game. Sorry about that. Oops, it's not the camera. It's getting increasingly harder to hold in place. Crazy Taxi. Great stuff. Love Crazy Taxi. That is actually pretty much the reason why I ever play my Dreamcast, is just to play Crazy Taxi, or was, because I did get the Xbox 360 version to play on my Xbox One quite recently, so I still play it loads now on my Xbox One, although it hasn't got it's missing stuff that's in the Dreamcast one, like the official shops and stuff like that, and the music, but I never liked the music on the original Crazy Taxi anyway, so I tend to play Crazy Taxi with the volume down anyway, because I just don't like the music on it. Top 20 Sega games you've never played. Quite a cool article. This brings out lots of stuff that you wouldn't have known about. I remember nominating quite a few games for this when this article was coming up, and that was one of the games I nominated, was the Mega Drive version of Pengo, which was only released in Japan, which is a great shame because it's brilliant. I think there's another one here as well that was a game that I nominated. Yep, Outrun 2019. I nominated that, which is often gets forgotten about, but it's absolutely superb. It really is, especially the soundtrack. It's got really good scaling effects as well on it. The games that never made it. It's a great shame the Mega Drive version of Ninja Gaiden never came out, because it's got real promise. As I did too, and that's it. It's finished. So that's the Sega book, and yeah, as you'll see, it's packed with content. Pretty much everything you would expect to find in a Sega book, which I think in this case is a good thing, because you know, it's a real pang of nostalgia as soon as you open the book and see the index of all those games. Especially if, you know, someone like me, if you had Sega machines back in the day. You know, I had a Mega Drive and I had a Saturn. I had friends with Game Gears and Master Systems, so I played them a great deal as well. And yeah, and so I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's all articles that are reprinted. There's nothing new in here. Every article has been reprinted at Retro Gamer. I own all those issues of Retro Gamer, but I still went and bought this because it's nice to have them all in one book like that. You can just flick through and look at, and yeah, it's just a really good book. It's available now. You should be able to get it in places like WH Smith's and big supermarkets. It's $9.99. You can also order it direct from Imagine Publishing, their shop. So I will stick the link down below as always. So if you do want to order it, you can do. So thank you much for watching. Please leave a comment and let me know what your favourite memories of Sega are. It's always good to hear from my subscribers. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again with another video very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.